Well, the kids are home this summer, so it is a good time to give them some lessons on saving money.
They've got to learn something this summer, right? So how about some budgeting advice? We're going to talk to you about how to teach them that coming up next.
Now that the kids are out of school, it is a very good time to teach them an important lesson about finance. So this morning, we have Roy Paul, the Executive Director of Sensibility, here with some advice. Roy, good to have you. I know that you are traveling to us from New York. You're doing a national tour to give this important information. Tell us why it means so much to you.
Yeah, it's critically important because we focus on teenagers, and they're really at that age where they're going to be bombarded with credit card solicitations. They're off to college. They're going to maybe perhaps get their first job either while they're in high school or after they graduate from college. And they really should know some very basic things with respect to their finances so that they can hopefully retire and live prosperous lives.
So let's talk about Sensibility. It's a nonprofit. You're all across the U.S. Your background is in government. You actually held political office when you were just 19 years old.
Yeah, it seems like such a long time now, but it was a great experience that I had to be elected and serve on a board of education, which is ingrained in all the fundamentals about service, and that's why Sensibility is such a great fit. But it started, Sensibility, 2004. Two Harvard Business School graduates, one of them who is a member of the DuPont family. So they came together with access and resources, yet they were struggling with their personal finances. And so they got together and said, look, if we're having these difficult challenges, can you imagine young people, especially those from low-income communities, we should do something to give back.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
A lot of sense and sensibility, yeah.
All right, so let's talk about a couple of these things really quickly. There's going to be more on your website, but we're going to go down the basics. What do you want parents to teach these young people? Yeah,
so when it comes to saving and budgeting, that's probably the most critical part. We have the 50-30-20 rule that we teach at Sensibility. When you get that check after, raking the lawn or, working at some youth job or after you graduate, 50% of that should be on the things that you absolutely need to spend your money on. 30% are things you want, right? You can go out and go shopping, you can go to Maple Street Biscuits, and then 20% you just save it, don't touch it. And we want to teach those very basic habits in this country. We don't save very well, as you know, in this country. 42% of Americans don't have a budget, so we want to start them off young.
And it's never too soon to start saving.
Exactly, it's always sensible to save.
Tell me what else. A lot of people are in the situation where they're going to be taking out student loans to pay for their college, to pay for their grad school, and you have to be careful.
It's a pet peeve of mine because I talk to young people all the time who know they're going to college, know they're taking out loans, and when I ask them, do you know when you graduate what your monthly payment is going to be, many of them are stuck. They have no idea what they're going to be paying back. Then they graduate 6 months, they get that grace period, and they get that bill, and they're shocked that it's $1,000, and like, wait a second, how am I going to pay for this? And then they always say to me, well, then what am I supposed to do? I want to go to college, right? I always say, if you're going to take out loans and you have to do that, maybe start off at a community college or at a public school. And there are so many myths and misnomers about going to public schools and community colleges that are just so not true. There are great ways to get your start academically if you don't have the money to go and spend $50,000 a year.
Absolutely. Roy Paul, thank you so much. I know that you have so much more information, but we do have to pitch to a news conference. So if you guys want to learn more, if you want to follow what his nonprofit is doing, go to sensibility.org. That's CENTS'_ABILITY.org.